and they coughed up with that. And that money is non-refundable.
Okay.
Fine. Second one came in was when, by the way, we signed, just I can disclose the company because you know the company, we signed deals with every major pharma company, Roche, American Home Product, which is now Wyeth, Johnson & Johnson, the Boots, amongst the various big ones, okay? And I think again, the luck was really at that time, if you really see the biggest product in the market was the cholesterol-lowering drugs. And Pfizer also, by the way, okay? And what else they need but to identify people who have the high cholesterol level and marry things together. So we didn't have much of a problem. So what I'm saying is if you have a unique product, very unique product, you don't have any competitor. And by the way, this product is still being sold in the drugstore and there is no competition because technology happened to be a lot more trickier than I thought. But nevertheless, for normal products, I will say you have to do quite a bit of legwork. And anybody else can add on this thing, I'll be happy to, but it's the nature of the product which dictates you how difficult is it for you to have a customer.
Harsh, can I supplement what
Sir, certainly, I mean,
Dr. Bazin said? I've been involved in entrepreneuring directly since '65 and building entrepreneurs across the country in all sorts of dimensions in the last year. So, but it came in out of sort of nothing, no compulsion of that fashion. And that's when I got involved in design of a tractor, the Indian tractor, commitment to India. That was basically mentally emotional commitment. Our age, my generation, the people. I was there at the Red Fort on 15th of August 47. We'd gone for a day from the road, just put me there on 15th of August 47, just to see flag. That was sort of emotional commitment to independence. I was in college first year that time, or second year. And so we got into this business that we must make a tractor, totally Indian, totally Indian story. And then it started with drawing the specs of what the Indian tractor should be, and it began with that fashion. So studied the whole lot, competitors, the whole works, went around all of it, advanced. But came into promotion of the first major Indian product based totally in Indian technology, Punjab tractor, that is what it was, Swaraj tractor, and 100% Indian from day zero. Against everyone else was CKD imports, whether it's international tractors, Ford, Escort, the whole works. And here it is from day zero. So when we came in, and as things would happen, PSIDC here, Mr. Tejendra Khanna, who was Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, he came in, met us in Durgapur when doing this development and spent the whole day. And next morning, overnight, I dropped him in his guest house, in our guest house. At midnight, we gone for dinner to a friend's house, came and dropped him. The next morning, 9 o'clock, first statement, we signed this technology, provided I and the team come and set up the project here. Out of the boat, no questions asked there. Total stranger, didn't know him at all. And he still can't answer why he did it, how he did it, the whole works. You ask him anytime, but that is what it was. And when he came in here, everyone was anti-this. The Chief Minister, the whole works, everyone dead against it. And the general refrain all over here was about the banega nahi, banega to chalega nahi, chalega to bikega nahi. This was what it was. So I was really worried. And it took me 2 years to raise money for financial institution to raise money. They said, after a lot of debate, firstly we chucked it out, finally they agreed, provided I raised money for the total money for the whole project. 3 crore 70 lakhs in 1970.
For manufacturing.
Huh?
For manufacturing.
For manufacturing, complete project. They will put in equity, we said it will put in equity, subject to maximum 45 lakhs. That's all, period. And no money at all. So that is what the whole game was like. So I was naturally really worried about it. I went to Ahmedabad and to see if there's any guidance. Zero. They had, and first thing we did, of course, we set up an office in Sector 9, that's where we were operating along. And It's totally, we from day one we were clear decision that we shall have no links to the government at all. No links to the government at all. It will be our own holidays, schedules, pay scales, the whole works. Despite my background of 17 years in government. I was in railways, I was in all that sorts of nonsense, CSIR. But then it came in, and I was really worried as to how do I market. Wait, we can't do it. Now to laying it over, and then making everything Indian. When the first design had 100 rupees worth of imported bearings. Everything else was totally Indian. Only 100 rupees of bearings were imported. So one day I was sitting here, with the R&D team. I was myself. We had patents. We filed our own patents. I wrote my own patents. That's why I would say that. And patents in Germany, France, so I think, this 4 rupees now, let's redesign the car. So we redesigned the damn thing here. And redesigned it, and then I asked a friend of mine who was making bearings, I said, which bearing, needle bearings? Which needle bearing, can you send me the list? So we redesigned it according to a bearing which was being made in India. We redesigned it, that's the advantage of designing yourself. So any case, we did that. So then, really worried, I was all the time worried. I did all the case studies, Harvard case studies on marketing, tractor, farm machinery, whatever. Nothing, not wiser at all, not wiser at all. Ahmedabad was a total washout, no way. Then I met a very old friend of mine he was from UK. In any case, he was a consultant to FAO or UNIDO in Thailand and then in RRI Cuttack. So I wrote to him. I said, this is what he's like to experience in the developing world. So promptly sent me a reply. Rice paper, those days rice paper, everything was, like post. 4-5 page letter. And he wrote a very great letter, which I'll never forget, that nobody can give any advice on this thing. All I'll suggest is, all I suggested, that please look after the servicing extremely well. In a product like tractors, farm machinery, servicing is most critical. And so that's stuck into me. So for the first 2 years, we were only marketing within a radius of 250 kilometers from Chandigarh. And any complaint that we got, our marketing office was open day and night. Any complaint which I got, by 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the evening, next morning, our service engineer with the spare parts was there, wherever it was. And this is how we started off. So first customers, we saw to it, attended to those, and we were the first person to start with district-wise dealerships. Those days, a state was a dealer, half a state was a dealer. Punjab had only 2 dealers, by Mahindra 1, all that sort of. So we started district-wise dealers, so servicing. So that is when you say that the first customer.
Yes.
So this is basically to customers. That is one part. So we gradually sold and got the second also. So way after some 15, 20 years later, we are marketing all India, all India. We couldn't sell a tractor in Andhra Pradesh. Not at all. And whole market dominated by Mahindra. So I said, that's high. So one day I said, took in our R&D, I said, let's go and spend some time in Andhra on the west coast, on the east coast, which is real heartland of paddy. So there we saw tractors and I did competitive trials with Swaraj tractor with them, and in actual paddy operation, realized where the things were like. So our tractor was too heavy to overturn, this, that, and so. So we then came back. We modified our tractor within, 2 days? 2 days. We shipped it in a truck to Andhra. So it was back in Rajamundry area in a week or 10 days' time. And then it was doing better than So this is the sort of thing which comes in that the customer, first customer, how do you? And classic example I was reading last week, 10 days ago, Isaacson's book on Steve Jobs. And it's phenomenal. I mean, this is Isaacson was the Time chief editor and all that stuff. And it had just been published 2-3 weeks ago. So there he brings in the first lesson which Mr. Jobs picked up from Maravilla. The launch was the most important part. The first impression on a customer. Most important part of life. So the best of presentation, launch products were ever done, any product in the world is Steve Jobs. And that's what got him sold. So please understand that the first customer you got to really, it is for you to really see. And then you got to be committed to what you want to do. Think. And first, the other point which Dr. Pal Singh said, and that you should type. Money is something which you raise when you can. Never hesitate to pick up money when you want, when you can. Because you don't know what you'll need tomorrow. Clear. And particularly in the startup period, I know what I need. You know, we were settled, PTL paid its first dividend in 1978. After that, it's been paid dividends consistently all its life. But, and the money, tractor was doing extremely well. We expanded 3 times. We were making 10,000 tractors in 80-81, advances from all over. So money, cash flow. Suddenly, 81, market crashed. I was on for expansion. I said, these financial institutions have paid so much hell into me, I shall go nowhere near them at all. Period. I mean, it was, that's an entrepreneurial ego, is a very entrepreneurial and SOB of high style. Please understand. A successful entrepreneur,
You're right.
is, and anywhere, is an SOB of the highest order. Egos are so large.
I think I'll support this point a bit more. To my knowledge, more companies fail because of money than because of technology.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think Chandra has really said it right, and obviously it all comes to my heart also. It's a pride of any entrepreneur to not to raise money, Mirashi Tijara. The general classic example I used to give when I had a lot of sessions in Thai, Silicon Valley when we just started. We had a conference, an annual conference and all that, is that 1% of $1 billion company is $10 million, whereas 10% of $1 million company is how much? So you see what you want to make. Never ever worry about the dilution, but you must have the right kind of partners, not that it's going to. But more companies fail. Literally speaking, even the large companies fail because of money, not because of technology. So, and you raise the money when you don't need it. That's another interesting point. If you see all these successful entrepreneurs, it's a called window opportunity. And you raise the money when you think you don't need it. Because that's the time people will give you.
Yeah.
Okay? When you need it, then it's very difficult. So, lesson really here is, strike when you think it's the best time. Don't worry about dilution, don't worry about anything else, because the goal ought to be that I want to make today's, just like today's Infosys. I mean, that may have happened for many reasons, but I'm sure that the goal is I want to make a large organization, I want to make an impact worldwide, I want to have something great. Don't ever worry about the money. Money will follow you. And furthermore, other thing I say is that I've seen a lot of rich people, a lot of filthy rich, particularly in this part of the world and even in the US also. After you cross a certain number, the rest is all academic. Because you can count that. Money is, it's only that money is yours which you're going to spend it. The rest is all bank's money. You can keep on depositing, you can do whatever you want to do, you can leave for this, you can do that. So I think that's normally a lot of people start companies. If you truly want to be an entrepreneur, then put the money issue, how much money I have, how much share, because that's the most important part. I need to have 100% of the company. I cannot let go more than 50%. I can't let go. Be careful, because that is less important. What is important is success.
Can I just
Please.
turn before I come to the end?
We might have gone to the same school together, by the way.
81, suddenly the RBI applied credit squeeze in 82, February, March. Tractor market crashed like a devil. Everyone. But I got in this last in the 78, 80. So much in expansion, growth, this, that, new tractor models, and the whole works ego so strong that I had forgotten the issue of thing called quality. So the product quality itself started declining. So in this mess of 82, the worst hit was PTL. First hit was PTL. We had by the end of 82 or early 83, 1700 tractors in the stockyard. From 0 tractors in about a year and a half time, the whole yard was chock full of tractors. And money poured into the market, vendors, delayed payment, whole works, everything was. So then I realized that where the hell I had gone. I mean, that's really woke me up to what mess I had made. And we took R&D chief again. We went around to meet farmers into one of our dealers, Sangrur area, and 3 days we spent there meeting. I must have met maybe 500,000 customers. Galore, anyone, stopping anyone, or this, that, and there. Then I realized that where we had made a mess, the quality had gone sharply. And that is when I learnt and I started adopting, PTL started adopting total Japanese style, total quality management, 83, 84. And with that, consistently applied, absolutely dogmatically applied. By 91, 92, PTL was a debt-free company. We had no long-term debt. We were putting in 40, 50 crores of expansion ourselves. You came in late, right?
I joined in 90.
90 something. So all that, we were debt-free. Dividends galore, bonus issues, the whole works. After that, we can never look back. But then the issue was this story of that, please, money, that this business of. And third thing, which is most important for me, entrepreneurs I've seen, particularly this part of the world, like to do everything themselves. I shall do this and I shall do this and I shall be able to do it. They'll say that I am the, and ultimately, if one to look at it, entrepreneur will do the best of jobs anyway. But then when there are 100 problems, you lose track. You can't. You only handle the easier things, difficult things keep on getting piled up. So first thing which I learned, at least I did from my background of all sorts, was to have heads for each. I mean, the amount of deputies that we had. Every field, every area had a separate boss, youngster, 5 years, 2 years, 0, whatever. And they were there. And I had no direct responsibility whatsoever. I was totally doing things which are super priority today, guiding, meeting people, but no direct responsibility. And that to me was the biggest strength which we built. That team stayed on with PTL right the way through. And that was the biggest strength of the whole. So second part one has to learn is an entrepreneur's delegation. And ambitions are large. My ambitions are large. Before I could had 1 penny in the pocket, raised none. I used to say openly, 100 crores in the next 10 years. First 10 years, 100 crore turnover. And everyone says, Pagal, he's mad. He doesn't have a penny, he is talking 100 crores a year. And again, in a competitive world. But we were, 10 years time, we were something like 850, 900 crores. And I said, next 10 years, 1,000 crores. So we were that. We were by 97, 98, we were somewhere around 950, somewhere there.
In fact, this I would like to ask from you also, Dr. Prashant. My company, of course, Drish is vision. Every entrepreneur has a vision. Now, so many times you get frustrated and fed up because the kind of feeling and passion you have, your team doesn't respond like that or behave like that. How is it that you share that, you pass it on, you keep it alive in your team? How could you do it? I mean, I know.
No, I think what Chandra has said, your question is rather a hard question in real world. But in real fact, first of all, as an entrepreneur or a founder of a company, you are just like, my baby is the most beautiful baby in the world. So you have too much pride. Okay? Lower down a bit because the other babies, every other parent thinks their babies are equal. Okay? Secondly, here is that is also known, if you look into any company in the world, the amount of progress that is made in the first year is orders of magnitude higher than what is made in the next 10 years. Okay? And the real reason for that is that when you started as a founder, you're getting a like kind of people. It's a do or die issue. If you don't do it, you're dead. If you do it, you have a chance tomorrow. Okay? However, when you grow, then you have a team of people. So important thing really here is you got to create a team of people with you who will share your vision like that. This is, in the US what they do is they give a lot of options, shares. Now look into these Apple. And if anybody has said Apple, every person of significance in Apple, as well as in Google, is a billionaire. Okay? And just because they know that you can say anything you want to say to your associate, but at the end of the day, really you're saying is, "See, this sucker is getting that much himself, and I have nothing to do." Because all these salaries and everything is published on a quarterly basis in the newspaper. So you need, as a founder of the company, you need to infuse, and people are generally reasonable. If somebody is not reasonable, then that person doesn't belong to your team. Because people ought to know that you have put the grunge works, your idea,